Damien Barrett, welcome to Access All Areas. A huge clash at the MCG yesterday between two of the competition's heavyweights, and the Tigers impressed us yet again. Matty Lloyd, Jimmy Bartell.
Damo, it was an absolute beauty to finish the round, and for me, the difference, Lloydie, was just the players 16 to 22. They made the biggest difference for me. The Richmonds, call it the bottom six, were just a little bit better than Geelong's bottom six.
Damo, the game to me was similar to last year's final, where they just were worn down. You know, the stats were all Geelong's favour, inside 50s, you know, stoppages, clearances, but in general play, I just felt that they wore them down by the end. And the small forwards, in the sloppy conditions, wet conditions, you looked at Butler, Castagna and Rioli, their contribution opposed to Gregson, McCarthy, Parsons. They thought that was a difference in the game for me.
You said they wore them down, Lord. Yeah. They seized the moments when they came in the last quarter, didn't they? And they did it through skill, they did it through toil, they just did it through grunt.
Well, this is one of the men Lloydie was talking about. Dan Butler, all class on the forward line, just super creative here. Look at this little banana. Whoop, Jack Riewoldt could have handballed it, but just really smart plays in the big moments, as you said.
Yeah, they'll just repeat entries. You see that one over to Jack Riewoldt, class finish, 4 goals to 1 it was in the last quarter. It was moments like this. Trent Cotchin, inspirational leadership. Dangerfield first, Zach Guthrie second. He's become a brilliant captain, Cotchin.
And we've seen this from Dustin Martin throughout the year. Big second halves, great front and square. We know if you give him even a metre space inside forward 50, he's going to convert on you.
And Reece Stanley dropping that mark, or at least not killing the contest. Edwards has just been extraordinary over his career, and yet finally now I think competition-wide. What happened here? Till he goes to ground?
Yeah. Well, we've lauded Geelong having a player back behind the ball. They couldn't do it there, and Castagna got it out the back. And again, Jimmy, the small forwards wreaking havoc.
Exactly. And Damo, you mentioned just going to ground at the wrong time for Geelong players, but Richmond's got this real willingness in their forward half to keep the ball alive. And why wouldn't you? Rioli in the side, we mentioned Butler, Castagna.
Lose his feet again.
Yeah, you've got to keep your feet. Because that's the easy thing. As soon as you go to ground, you bring the opposition's pressure towards you. Even if you don't take full possession, you take it towards the boundary, wait for your teammates to arrive.
That passage of play there with Rioli, unbelievable. It has to be play of the year, doesn't it? He actually had the composure then to regroup, take a breath and kick the goal. Jimmy, you've been massive on Nick Flosstone's impact over his career, but particularly this season. He's elevated his game now and name to elite.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm in the Nick Flostone fan club. I've got a membership card. I just love the way he goes about it. He's an aggressive halfback, and by that he attacks the ball in the air, he sees the ball, and he gets in the most dangerous positions that the opposition are going to get into. And some of them he needs a fair bit of courage to do it, but he marks the ball and backs himself in the air. That's just super footy. And to have 21 disposals, he's nearly the best man on the ground with 21, because the effect he had with those 11 marks just stopping Geelong's attack.
A lot of players don't know how to play the loose role, and he took 11 marks. He just knows where to stand, and I think down the other end, Tom Stewart didn't play it as well.
Okay. We've spoken about St Kilda on this program and many other programs all year for the wrong reasons. We need to give them some credit. 39 points down against the Gold Coast Suns, 31 points down at three-quarter time. Kicked a lot of goals in the last quarter, including this one from Gresham, which sealed the win.
Massive relief for Alan Richardson. He's been under the pump big time. You saw all the cameras panning to him consistently. What thought, could he possibly lose his job? But to come back and kick 5 goals, 3 to no score in the last quarter, just a remarkable turnaround. You look at the exhilaration for him. The press conference for Stewie Dew afterwards was the opposite. He was just a broken man.
Yeah, it was. Look, we need to, I suppose, give them some credit, but it doesn't change the big picture. It was only the Suns they beat, and we'll talk about them in a moment. But let's forensically analyse what happened with the last 2 goals in that game and how the Suns allowed them to be kicked.
Yeah, I'll take a look at the first one. And there's Dunstan on the right and McKenzie on the left. And there's 2 Suns players back behind the stoppage. They're not impacting at all. So this allows Dunstan and McKenzie a free run at the football. The ball gets out the back. There's still 2 Suns players standing out the back guarding grass. No St Kilda player has any time and pressure on them. So suddenly McKenzie gets this ball and he can just belt the ball forward. Again, no point standing back there and not applying
any pressure. And he had options to go inside without kicking the goal.
Yeah, so I've got the match-winning stoppage here. We can all see where the space is and where St Kilda are trying to get the ball. They've got the goalkeeper in the goal square, but we focused on Aaron Young there, highlight, just lose all body contact with Gresham. You've got to have the arm across, and where are the extra Suns players? You don't need them forward of the ball. You're not trying to kick a goal at this stage of the game. You're just trying to defend. But let's give some credit to Gresham. What a quality finish.
Yeah, and the way they set that up, didn't they? Seb Ross went to take the Suns player out of that to allow that space. players. We touched on the Suns. Their last quarters are abysmal. That's embarrassing. This is now 4 weeks in a row where they've failed to kick a goal in the last quarter. Have a look at the cumulative elements of that particular statistic there, where they have only managed 2 behinds in the 4 last final quarters they've played against teams which have totalled 100 points.
You said they're embarrassing, but they're not playing them at all. So they've played 200 minutes and scored 2 points. And, Lloydie, I want to ask, is it a fitness thing, is it a youth thing, or is it even a structural thing why they've been so poor in the last quarters?
I think it'd have to be a combination of everything. Stewie Dew said they froze, but I would also question the fitness levels as well of the Gold Coast Suns at the moment.
And the coaching as well?
Yeah, you'd have to say that. I think they hope to hold on to a lead. They just got to keep attacking. They only had to score 1 early or hold for the first 5 or 6 minutes. It was game over and they couldn't do it.
It's a very sick footy club, that one at the moment, on and off the field, and they've got a lot of work to do. Hunter Clark, the first pick for the Saints in last year's draft, questioned at times throughout the course of this year, but when this last quarter was underway, it was he and a few other younger guys who stood up with clean disposal, Jimmy.
You love to see that in the big moments, young players seizing it, not shying away from the contest. He was picked 7 in the draft. Seen him a little bit this year, very well balanced, can kick the footy nicely on his right and left foot, but the fact that he went after the game and tried to take it on, and that was a big reason why St Kilda actually fought their way back in it and then got the win.
Carlton against Fremantle, it was abysmal watching, wasn't it, for so many reasons from the Blues' perspective?
It was. Both teams really set upon rebuilds at the same time, probably 3 years ago. And you look at the class and the gulf between the two teams on the weekend. I thought, Jim, what Fremantle have got is 4 guys leading the way beautifully. They've got Fife, Neal, Sandy Lands and Mundy, who are just brilliant. They just, you know what you get from them every week. But you look at Carlton, and you couldn't say that. Who's leading the ship at the moment? They've got injuries, not too many, but they've got a lot of recycled players who are getting games, whereas Fremantle, it's those guns and kids. Probably apart from Shane Kirsten, you'd say that everyone there has a future at Fremantle, but Carlton, there's a lot of list cloggers going on.
So do you like the way the Dockers have gone about it, now that we've seen it through more than half of 2018?
I love it, but it's taken Ross time. I still think Michael Johnson played a bit too much football. Daniel Pearce played a little bit too much football, and those types. But the rest of it, just to see the footy that they're playing, has been brilliant.
Who's the best of those kids?
Well, I think they've absolutely nailed that draft last year. Brayshaw and Chera, top 5 picks. And if you can keep those two together for the next 10 to 12 years to build alongside the likes of those names you mentioned, Neal, Mundy and Fife, of course.
So the green shoots of the Dockers seem okay as compared with the promise that the Carlton Footy Club had to tell us about their green shoots, but we're not seeing it, Lord. No. They've either died off or they're just not there.
Oh, here's just some horrible errors early in the game. They're on their home ground. It's a game they could possibly win against Fremantle, who just do not travel well. They've been horrendous this year. Mistakes from senior players. There's Rowe, there's Thomas. I'll talk about the senior players, Fife, Neal, Sandy Lands and Mundy. They're meant to be the leaders of Carlton. Here's Daisy again, just sitting off David Mundy here. Gets the ball inside forward 50. Watch this Sam Rowe again on a young kid, Michael Apnis. Watch his effort to try and get back on the ball. When Brendan Bolton first started, they were organised. Their effort was extreme. It's just disappeared now, and so's their skill level, Jimmy. It's just was horrible. Again, this kick from Liam Jones, another senior player. Well, who's he trying to kick to there? So it was just, their effort was appalling, their skill level, Levi, appalling. These aren't kids we're showing here. This is meant to be their senior players. So they are in no man's land at the moment.
This is the half-time scenes too, guys. So the crowd was against them. They sort of hung on and actually was quite positive as a collective post-game. But do you question Brendan Bolton's worth and impact right now?
I don't, because I think that he's just doing everything right. He's trying to play kids. I think there's too many recycled players there and they aren't making the grounds they'd like to. I want to ask you about Mark Murphy. He was on your station, Triple M, and he was asked a question about his future. He's been to Byron Bay. He said he'll make a decision in the next week or so. What do you think he'll do?
Look, it's up to him, and he's so in love with that footy club. But the toil and the cumulative effect of loss after loss since he first played, but way back in 2006, he wouldn't commit, Lord. Now, I'm not saying he's going to go on the back of what he said to us on Triple M, but there was no commitment to want to stay. And that was interesting to me to get to the round 13 part of the season before he makes his mind up and is just not saying, I'm going to be there. It's just interesting. First time he's actually said that or refused to say it. Another club that's really struggling, and one we didn't see coming on the back of making the grand final last year, the Crows, 6 and 7 now, and all life seems to have disappeared from that club's hopes.
Yeah, they've got a tough draw too in the next 5 to 6 weeks. But for me, Lloydie, the injuries are just becoming too much. You know, you hear coaches speak saying if one man goes out, the other one just replaces it. But they've had so many injuries that it's actually affecting the way that they're trying to play their football. We forget Brodie Smith, obviously with the knee last year, Laird out, that rebound off half back, and of course key injuries through the midfield. They just can't get anything going at the moment.
Do you think it's more than that though? I know that injuries. I agreed with Jim, but there seems like there's more issues.
There is disharmony there. Now, to what degree that's impacted on this scoreline and how this season's unfolding, but it is an impactful situation on that footy club, going back to the camp and just general relationships. After the bye, they've got West Coast, Richmond and Geelong. They're not going to sort of win 3 of them, are they, the way they're playing? Yeah,
well, the question then becomes, at what point do you sort of write the season off and you start putting some of those key players out to rest, and you actually concede, well, this is not our year, let's start building for next year. And there's a lot of South Australian talent in the top 10 in the draft next year.
Right. This man has become an Access All Areas favourite. James Sicily, just doing beautiful things across half-back, but he's such a good kick that he's become a scoring weapon too.
You're right, Damo, and we just touched on Carlton's appalling skills. Well, you just cannot buy this. I think the saying for recruiters is you can't kick, you can't play. And I think that's what Hawthorn have done so well. They just draft players who can kick exceptionally well, Jim.
Well, he's the zone buster. As we're seeing sides play that hard forward press, you get him across half back, he absolutely breaks that to pieces. Now, people want to move him up the ground. He's probably going to be in Lloydie's All-Australian half-back line there. Keep him at half-back and see the damage he can do from back there.
I think the final was wildcards too, the way they're shaping up the Hawks, with Gunston down, joining him down back. The Swans, the only team to have beaten West Coast. They've done it twice, round 1 and again on the weekend just gone. They're doing everything right now, aren't they?
Jim and I were there to watch them on Friday night, and West Coast, there was blustery conditions. They didn't play the conditions very well, but I just love the kids at Sydney. You've got McVeigh steps out, Alear comes in, he played a great game, but Florent, Hayward, Heaney, Hewitt, they're all playing great football for the Swans.
I'll tell you what, if you're one of these young sides we've been talking about and the development, you'd be going and asking who's doing all the development at the Swans, because they come from the knee full, which is a few steps down from AFL, but they plug them straight in and they immediately find their way at AFL level.
I do. Todd Marshall returned for the Port Adelaide team on this round's football after dealing with the family tragedies that he has dealt with. And at the 13-minute mark of this first quarter, there was this moment, Lauder.
Unbelievable, you know, and one thing about football clubs is they rally around you. Great touch there from Hayden Crozier, who knew the moment as well. So it's a nice touch for a man who's gone through hell this year.
Dogs, they've now lost their past 4 games by an average of close to 8 goals. It's a write-off now, 2018.
Yeah, it certainly is. I guess they were a bit fortunate that they played on Thursday night. It feels like it was almost 3 rounds ago. But yeah, the Dogs have got to now start playing players in position where they feel like they're going to go forward with in the next couple of years.
Dana,
I think
it's just the way they're losing, which is just leaves a bad taste in your mouth if you're a Bulldog supporter.
It does, and you couldn't see it coming, could you?
No.
They've become what they were before Luke Beveridge got to that footy club. Now, Telstra Live Pass. This is very important. Watch your team every week live and on the go through the AFL Live official app, or you can relive all the big moments again with on-demand replay. Start your 2-week free trial now. Telstra mobile customers get it all for free. Jimmy, we can't have an Access All Areas without you highlighting a Falcon, and you've got one this weekend.
Yeah, I love the lighter side of the game, and I found this pretty funny. Will Hayward got absolutely flushed in the face here as we see it.
I'm glad you found it funny, Jim.
Yeah, I find it funny. Will Hayward's not. His head was probably pulsating for the last couple of days. He might even have Sharon written on the side of it come Monday and Tuesday. Look at that.
He talked through that, didn't he?
He played a very good game, but I reckon he'd still have a big red face today.
Jimmy and Lotto, thanks you. And thanks once again for watching Access All Areas. We'll see you next Monday. Goodbye.